Thank you. And you stuck through?
Mm-hmm.
See? I mean, it is a good program.
All right, and you already basically answered this, but how can the city support the CHH schools as a community asset and a means to attract and retain families?
Yeah, I look at it as an economic situation, to be honest with you. Kind of my philosophy on government is you look at it as an economic opportunity. I think the schools are an economic opportunity. You heard about all these schools, these communities have great schools. Well, that's an economic engine. It causes people to move there. It causes them to stay there. It causes them to relocate back there. If we can get the schools, we can get the perception change. Not the schools change, the perception change becomes an economic engine. It makes people say, well, I really don't want to move away. I want to stay here. I want to be part of this community. I want to send my kid all the way through to 18, to senior year, 18 years old at the high school. I want to come back and have reunions. I meet a lot of people who are elderly in this community that went to Heights High, and they remember, they come back for their reunions, and they love that, and that's what we've got to get back. And I see it completely on an economic sense. We can keep people in our schools. It drives home values. It drives shopping. It drives investment. It drives those people to want to be part of Cleveland Heights and never want to leave. So, a little redundant on my answer, but
No, that's okay. Toby, I'm Mike Murray. I was born and raised in Cleveland Heights. Went to school for a while, came back. Now I own a home on Woodview Road, and I do community gardening on Woodview there as well.
You said you went to school for a while. That suggests that you didn't graduate.
I graduated from College of Worcester, studied abroad in the Dominican Republic.
Sounding like your mother.
And now I live in Cleveland Heights and love it. Don't want to leave. Okay. All right. The fiscal viability of our city government is critical to our success. The recent defeat of an income tax increase followed by the housing and employment crisis have diminished tax revenue and increased community needs. What do you believe will make our city government more financially sustainable?
well, I got so many issues I'm trying to address with that question. Which one do I want to take first? On the income tax levy that was put out, was it 2 years ago now? A year or so ago now? I think that I do think that was a poor approach to try to raise city revenues, and I think the residual of that has been that they've been able to cut a lot of how do they say that, might trim the fat a little bit on some of this, and I think they've done a good job. But it has been to the detriment of services, probably for our age, for our children, for the youth, the community center. The way I look at putting a community back on track, economic-wise, budget-wise, is by approaching some of the inefficiencies I've seen. The community center is a financial drain on us. We spend a lot of money to build it, and it doesn't make money in return. And we need to figure out what's wrong with the model. I'm not saying I have the answer right now, but I'm saying that I think we need to take time to look at what's wrong with that model. If that means we have to explore other ways to make money off the community center so that it's not a financial drain, it's my understanding that we're subsidizing about 30% of the cost for that. It's a lot of money, you know. And I know they've tried some things to close doors and to close hours and to close pools, but that ends up hurting the kids in the summer and the people who want to be athletic. What I think is interesting about that is we have 2 hockey rinks and no indoor pool. And it seems like there's an imbalance of what we're trying to achieve. Probably more swimmers than hockey players in Cleveland Heights. So you got to look at those things. That's a community issue. On the budget itself, how about some of the stuff like Focus? We still print Focus. I know we print it less, but there's a new organization. There's an organization out there called the Heights Observer. Maybe there's a partnership that can be put into place there, where we get the Heights Observer to print the information in Focus. We have the internet now. Do we use it to our most efficient manner? I don't know that we do. I'm not overly impressed with the city's website. I'm not sure that it's all that informative at times. Is there ways that we can use those resources a little more? And another one, which is probably going to get me in a little trouble, but I think it's worth talking about, is the resources the way we look at spending on resources for city services. We spend a lot of money to clean up leaves in Cleveland Heights. And I know that leaf pickup is critically important in Cleveland Heights. I would not in a million years, and I'm not saying that I would turn away leaf pickup, but we have to look at what's important. Are fixing potholes more important than picking up leaves? I'm a firm believer that potholes send a horrible message, and we have to fix potholes.
I should have prefaced this by saying that I'm a landscaper, and if you cut out leaf collection, I'm going to go crazy.
I'm not going to cut it out, but I've actually spoken with a public service employee who does work for the city, and we were talking very candidly, and he said that they have tried to go out and fix potholes, only to be told by leadership to go rake leaves for elderly people and for families that can't get to them. To me, that's just not an acceptable answer. Sometimes you have to let the leaves wait, or you have to figure out a new system. One idea that I'm throwing around, and I've talked to a few people, is that we have this Heights Youth Center up on Lee and Washington. They have like 600 people, 600 kids on their rolls as members. What about a youth corps that is able to go and rake leaves and able to make $10 an hour raking someone's leaves? And we send teams out. They run the program for minimal amount of money at the center. They get kids out to the neighborhoods. They say, go rake this lady's leaves, and you're gonna make $10 an hour. The leaves get raked and get put into bags. It's a lot easier to pick up bags than to go out and rake it. There are systems. You're a landscaper. You run a company. Maybe we work with you guys to figure out a more efficient manner for picking up leaves. Looking at some of those inadequacies. Recycling. This city could make money off recycling. We do make a little bit of money. We can make a lot more off recycling if more people recycled. But it's hard to recycle in Cleveland Heights. Not everybody has a clear plastic bag. We take 4, 5, 9, 2, 7, but we don't take 6 and 8 types of plastics. So by the time you throw in all those difficulties in actually recycling, people give up. I mean, I've heard, the people I've spoken to said, it's just become too hard for me. Maybe we just need those little buckets that you put out with the lids on them. Throw all your recycles in there. We'll get them sorted somehow. Make it a little more efficient. Maybe we need a co-op where there's cities that come together on that type of an effort. You know, there's all sorts of efficiencies in the budget that I think we can look at. Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, sure.
I like to talk. The other thing is to look at what we spend as a city to run what we run. I know they've gotten better in putting a lot of their equipment on more energy efficient means, but what does it cost us to run City Hall? What does it cost us to run maintenance buildings? Could we put, I know this is going to be crazy, but could we put a wind turbine up at Severance that could run City Hall? Could we put solar panels on the schools? Now they just put a new roof, I think, on Boulevard, like this past summer or last year, and they put the exact same roof up they had before. Maybe they could have put a solar panel roof up there and powered that school without. Am I taking someone else's question already? Is that your question later on? Okay.
No, it'll be there.
Yeah.
It'll be there.
Yeah.
Maybe we could have done that, and we have to look at some of those efficiencies as well.
Okay, great. The current housing crisis creates an immediate threat to our neighborhoods and our financial viability. What do you believe City Council should do to address the crisis that can transform our vacant properties into an asset?
Well, the first thing I would do is I would go have a meeting with the Home Repair Resource Center, and I would figure out how to have them be our city housing office. I firmly believe we could outsource that. I'm not saying that because you're in the room. I'm saying that because I believe they've got 34 years of housing history in Cleveland Heights. So 34 years, 35 years. They probably know more about our housing than we could as a city government. So we need to put programs in place that make our housing more competitive and more attractive to different demographics. We have an aging population in this country. They're going to start looking to come back to the urban centers, to the urban cores. Why couldn't we go through a street of vacant or rundown houses, figure out how to acquire them? It's going to take a lot of work and a lot of resources, and I don't know how we're going to get it, but we cobble it together, we figure it out, we work with the government, and turn those into assisted living places where 3-4 elderly people can live together, help each other out. We can be a community that encourages that kind of living. We don't have to just say, we can only return this house back to a single-family unit. We can put things inside like lifts and like bars and things that help the disabled or help the elderly get around. Why not a community that brings in a lot of that wealth? That's another, I look at it as economics, another way to bring economics to our community. I don't think we can effectively run a lot of housing programs out of City Hall. I just don't think it's effective. I think it's like what is that? Moving deck chairs on the Titanic, or however they say that. You know, it's almost a no-win situation. So why not use a professional organization that knows housing? Give them the resources to get out there. Give them the power to get out in the community, get those houses taken care of, deal with all these issues, and be our resource, be the city's resource, and that's also an efficiency.
Thank you.